True horror stories of Singapore, stalked on the 13th floor. Just a couple of minutes away from the once infamous Hillview mansion, and close to where the Ministry of Defense in Singapore holds its office, lies another apartment that is reputed to be haunted. The apartment sits in a tall apartment building surrounded by local traffic, which includes housing for rich expatriates, and some commercial and banking traffic. Since this apartment is nestled in what appears to be a busy and rich area of Singapore, you might think that it is the most unlikely stopover for unholy visitations, right? Well, not so. At least not in Singapore. In fact, hauntings are just a common situation in the island of Singapore. And off late, local soothsayers have sworn that deaths are going to be widely reported in many parts of the island, including Badak City, due to the latter's not-so-austere location. And they may be true. The number of deaths reported have been rising off late. Well, this story seems quite ordinary on the outset. It is about a regular family who move into their own corner apartment in busy Hillview. A place they probably once contended to be a rather good purchase, given that Hillview was fast rising as a commercial spot, and an expensive hit with many expatriates in Singapore. Most expatriates like living in Hillview because the location comes with privileges of all sorts, including clubs and shopping areas, all catering to the rich. To have a Hillview address in Singapore places one in the privilege of the elite in Singapore. That's also because the resale prices of the apartments and houses are very high. So at the time this family moved in, they thought they had made a big win with the housing market. Little did they know what was coming for them. The disturbances started not long after, when one of the young children began complaining about the rude noises while he was all alone at home. When Mama and Papa were out working and his siblings were out at school, little Tony would fret being at home. In those days, Singapore operated 2 school sessions for children. Some children would attend the morning session, which ended in the afternoon, while the others may attend the afternoon session, which might begin after midday and end in the evening. Little Tony attended the morning session in school, and he always had the bad vibes being at home alone. His parents' instructions were that he should return home after finishing school, and being the obedient child he was, he listened, but that meant being all alone at home. And you might say that being a young child, he was of course naturally gifted with an extraordinary imagination. But then he was quite sure that the noises in their apartment were not normal. The tap would drip incessantly, and then there were strange tapping sounds he would hear as if something was at home, and yet the house was supposed to be empty with just him all alone. Nothing made sense at all, because there were times when he sensed he was being watched, and yet when he turned to look around, he could see no one, but he got really frightened about it. All the more when it began to happen one too many times, and every time he was all alone at home. Very soon, little Tony was not too pleased about being at home. Of course, with all that noise pounding at him, he would feel suddenly cold. He could not understand how their home could get so cold, because it was really hot and shining outside. Yes, he was frightened, but who would listen? Mama would just say he was dreaming, and Papa would scold him for talking silly stuff. But he tried to tell them all the same. He didn't want to stay at home alone at all. "Mama, there's something funny happening at home," he would say. "I hear sounds in the room like someone is in it. The tap is also always dripping. But when I check, it is not wet. I am so scared, Mama, to be at home. Can I stay in school and take more activities?" The little boy would ask, holding his mama as he penned his homework for school the next day. He had a lot to do tomorrow, and he was not getting his afternoon sleep as he was told to do by his parents. He was too frightened to sleep alone. What if something came to touch him while he was asleep? Before going on, if you like these stories, do hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the notification bell, so you will not miss new stories like this. Maybe he could ask them if he could go to Jimmy's house and stay if they were not agreeable to him staying at school. It was just down the hallway, and they were best friends. "Can I go stay with Jimmy after school, Mama?" he asked when she kept nodding at him saying nothing more. He knew she wasn't listening. What is it about grown-ups that they wouldn't hear what their little ones had to say? He could only wonder. No, why would you want to do that? He looked at his mother. Now he got her attention. Mama, there is something in the house. Little Tony protested. Oh, again telling so much stories, noted his father. You just want to find excuse to play, he had said. No, Papa, the little boy protested meekly. Why wouldn't anyone listen at all? I am scared to be alone. Sometimes, I hear things falling on the ground, and when I look, there is nothing on the ground. His father looked at him, seeing him so serious. The little chap must be frightened being alone, and he could understand that. He'd been his age once, and children naturally have quite the imagination. This is our home, Tony. This is where we live and stay safe. You shouldn't be scared being in your own house. Little Tony never asked again, but he did his own tricks getting around it. He would stay in school a little longer, consuming himself with other school activities. And if he got home earlier than he needed to be, he stayed close to the door with his keys. In fact, he did everything else around the door just in case he needed to bolt out of the house. Then one night little Tony decided he had to sleep with his parents. It was getting too hot in the night, and since Mama and Papa had the air conditioning unit on, he could do with some of the cool air blowing on him, otherwise he could not sleep at all. Besides, he had so much to do at school and he needed to sleep. He was quite surprised that he got his way. His parents didn't mind him sleeping with them that night, and so he slid under the sheets between his parents, and was about to sleep when he thought he heard the knob of the door to his parents' room turn. He listened, and sure enough he heard it turn again. Whoever was behind the door seemed so impatient to get in. The fact was the door was not locked, so why couldn't the door open at all? His parents never locked the room door, and if his siblings were looking to get in to use the toilet, they usually opened the door and used it, or the common toilet in the kitchen. Nothing made sense, and he was frightened hearing the rattle of the doorknob go furiously. Someone seemed so mad turning the doorknob around so many times. Who was it? It was getting so loud. Yet his Mama and Papa seemed fast asleep. They were sleeping so soundly as if they never heard anything at all. And then the screams came, and he knew it was his sisters. Papa, Papa, sisters screaming. Little Tony said, shaking both his parents. They rose up, still sleepy and wondering what the commotion was all about. It was then that their daughter burst into the room. She had a lot to say. Tony could tell, and she was shaking a lot too. Papa, there's something walking in the room, she had said. Something so scary, and I saw it and I was so scared. Papa, Papa, I am scared. There is something out there, I tell you. I saw something, Papa. Little Tony stared at his sister, jabbering her mouth away. She was incoherent and she was darn frightened. She saw something. Maybe now, his parents would believe when he tells them there is something wrong with their house. His mother quickly grabbed his sister and cradled her close to her. Go and check, darling, and see what the girl is talking about. Little Tony's father rose up reluctantly and walked into the living room, then returned with the rest of his siblings. So much noise for nothing. There is nothing outside. You children have such an imagination. Always thinking you saw something, and there is really nothing at all, Papa had said. He needed the sleep and he wasn't amused at all. But Papa, sounded his sister desperately, I really saw something, and there was a woman standing by the window looking into our house. And she had really long hair. She was so scary. Everyone listened as they heard little Tony's sister tell her story. But no one quite knew what to think. In fact, the parents were quick to play down everything. Come on kids, just go to bed. We had a long day and we all need to sleep. Tomorrow is another day, just remember that. But Papa, you still don't believe me. whined the little girl. She had really seen the woman and she didn't like the face one bit. Who was she? Go and sleep, my little one, no more stories anymore. The children decided to say nothing. Once Papa said stop, they had to stop. And besides, maybe it was just a bad dream after all. Everything seemed to go fine the next few days until little Tony's younger sister began to complain of the mysterious green man. This happened in the wee hours of the night, and the parents listened to their child relate the story in between sobs. If anything, they could see she had been badly shaken by something really terrifying. There was this small man who came and looked at me just this close to me near the bed, and he was green, Mama. He was so frightening, and when I looked at him, he just stared at me. How can someone come into our house like that? She had asked innocently. Little Tony's parents weren't amused. They looked at each other. A green man in their house? What was going on with the house? What else did you see? Asked Papa. He just stared at me, then ran out of the window and was gone. You mean he just got out of the window just like that? We are on the 13th floor. He would have fallen to his death, said Mama. She could feel her lips tremble. Something was hurting her children, and she could see how frightened they were becoming. This was not good at all. He is short and green, Mama, and I am not joking. I saw him jump out of the window, said Tony's sister, and that was the end of the talk about the green man for that night. In the next months, as if to assert and confirm all the children have said, the family began to live the horror as strange noises began to play in the deep hours of the night. They heard sounds and creaks, thuds and objects thrown to the ground. Something was happening in their little haven, and nothing seemed very good. Better get a Chinese priest to bless the house, said Mama quietly to her husband. I told you living on the 13th floor is not good, but you don't want to believe. Many priests and mediums came and left, all with the intention to bless the house, and all leaving with the same claim that the house was not good at all. Live somewhere else. This is not a good house for you, said one medium. It is located to bring only bad luck to you. Leave and find somewhere else to stay, said another. But none of the family members saw the little green man and the long-haired woman anymore. What remained were noises and creaks in the wee hours of the night, enough to strike their own nerves down. They had to leave the house, and they all knew that. So the family began making plans to find another house. They were done living in the house they thought would fetch them a good market price someday. Whoever bought it next would get a good price for it if they could stay in the house long enough, that is. For now, all they knew was they would take anything just to get out of the house. It must be cursed, they had thought. The story goes that the house was finally sold to another family, but they moved out 3 months later. They had enough of the house, it seems, and wouldn't say what shooed them off, but one thing was sure. The house was never sold again, and it stood unsold for several years. No one knows why, but in recent months, the Singapore government had also indicated plans to tear the whole apartment building down to make way for more private residential estates. The point is, no matter what house is built on the land, the ground still holds some deep, dark secret. And the next occupant in that location may be just the next target for the green man and his mate, the long-haired woman, to prey on. Who knows? Only time will tell. Hope this video let you know more about the horror of Singapore. And if you like my video, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and comment down below. I will be making more videos like this. Thank you.